hope your wallets are ready, because this is Kickstarter Pickstarter for July 16th, 2018. We mentioned this before, but now the Kickstarter is live. Cthulhu Death May Die from Robert Davio and Eric Lang from CMON. This is a huge game where you will be playing investigators where Cthulhu or the King in Yellow will appear, and depending on whether you're able to disrupt the ritual or not, you may have to fight and shoot him. And hopefully be able to kill him. Now the base goes for $100, it's a lot, but sort of interesting because the way it seems to work, the game works, is you have season 1, you have little chapter packs, I guess you'd call them, and you choose which elder god you're going to go through them with it, so it's going to feel very different each time. And one of the mechanics I do like is you may receive events. For example, they showed like you meet the janitor, and depending on the test or your choice in the role, you'll put on the left side of your card and maybe you get a guilty conscience and maybe you get bleach, or you may actually get the janitor as like a companion, which is sort of cool how like depending on what you do, you slide it under your card for an event. Now the interesting thing for me is one of the really there's two pledges. There's $100 for the base game with a whole bunch of minis. Then I believe it's $250 for a Kickstarter exclusive expansion. Now what this comes with is a huge miniature of Cthulhu, so big it becomes the board. I believe it was 60 centimeters. Yeah, it's bigger than a lot of my Transformer toys that I have. Like
I saw a photograph of this mini next to a small child. It was bigger than the small child. It's not a mini.
Yeah, they did not expect so many people to go for it. Apparently, like they can only make like 100 at a time for each mold, and then have to make a new mold. And that's crazy huge. And if you want to do that and try to paint it, I mean, good for you. I will say something that's really cool, and I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for. Some people have asked if there's a way maybe like they can have that expansion without the mini, because it is the board. So they're like, we didn't think it'd be so maybe they're looking into it. They said no promises, but that's definitely something to keep an eye out, because that would definitely drop the price a lot more, you know. Even just a little cardboard wooden Cthulhu, I think is fine. I don't need a giant Cthulhu this big.
It is honestly almost veering into the realm of self-parody at this point. Like, everybody talks about Kickstarter and how minis, and especially Cthulhu games and CMON games, I feel like this is almost like an Onion article. Like, CMON publishes giant Cthulhu mini. Like, yeah, of course they would. But I mean, of course the minis, the actual regular minis, are gorgeous.
No, I always love Eldritch minis, because they always, when they're done well, they're done amazing, like these cool details and stuff.
I'm a fan of the look of Cthulhu in this game. He looks thick. He looks like he's just like a thick Cthulhu. It's really good.
No, and I do love the whole chapter pack thing, because it definitely maybe makes for some more interesting ways of how to do expansions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like for me, that's the big thing, is because it's a Kickstarter exclusive expansion, by the way, the huge thing. Mm-hmm. And because I have Cthulhu Wars, I really am good on, and Mansion Madness, you know, Lovecraft minis.
You're gonna go mini free and just use your other existing minis? Is that an option?
I don't, not in this game, but like, and I could sort of understand getting the $100 one, but just $150 for that huge thing where like, I'm fine with it if it was a cardboard stand like Attack on Titan. I thought that looked great, and I'm hoping they look into that and come up with a cheaper solution.
That would be nice. I do, like you said too, I do really like also the system with the cards where you make a choice. It's very elegant as opposed to just a card that tells you if this happens, and you have to look for something or roll something. I think that's clever. Also, it looks like there's like a upgrade kind of system too, like you kind of.
Yeah, it's this cool upgrade depending on madness level and stuff, and you can actually get madness at. It reminds me of, I can't remember what game, but like it's sort of. Maybe not bad for you, some other people. Like, I think the example video was Pyromaniac, where you just lit everything around you on fire, which hurt your allies and enemies and stuff, it looked like, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
But yeah, this is like a good miniature game. I'm definitely, for the base game, I think is really cool, and I might back that. I don't know if that giant miniature, like, I want the expansion, because I'm always about the experience and having game mechanics and stuff, which is my whole thing about Kickstarter exclusives. Mm-hmm. But for that giant miniature tower, which I'm sure would look fantastic on the set.
It would become the set.
Like if I could paint really well, maybe. But I'm not like, I mean, they show a fully painted version, which looks gorgeous, but it just seems like, I hope they do come with a cheaper version so you can experience that expansion without the giant hunk of plastic. I already spent too much money on plastic.
Yeah, we don't need more. Cardboard only from now on. Another huge Kickstarter this week is Eclipse Second Dawn for the Galaxy, the second edition of the game Eclipse, which has been high up on the Board Game Geek list for a long time now. Spacefaring 4X game in which you are choosing a bunch of different ships, you're building parts, you're upgrading, you're buying new weapons, and you're exploring the galaxy by drawing new hex tiles and basically just hoping to destroy your opponents, conquer them, find them, kill them. In the process, maybe dealing with some space taxes. So this new edition comes with a lot of new stuff. Whether it's enough for you to upgrade, that is up for debate. But for one thing, it's got a ton of new miniatures. All the ship models have been upgraded and redone, as well as trays to store the components, similar to something like Scythe, 3D pockets for you to put your tokens in, so it fits snugly. It looks very nice in that way. And they also upgraded a lot of little things throughout the game to kind of streamline it. For instance, it now goes to 8 rounds instead of 9, so it's a little bit shorter. And there are some things that are, balance tweaks, of course, to all the weapons and races. And the biggest thing for me, people have seen the show, we've talked a lot about Eclipse and the whole bankruptcy thing and how that's a thing you might want to do. They actually specifically addressed this, saying that they know that that can be a strange and confusing concept for new players, or me. And one of the things now is that when you discover a planet, you can, or not a planet, system, I forget the terminology, you can take it without having to use an influence disc. So it's easier for you to expand and grow without using your discs up and without having to worry as much about running out of them. This may not make any sense to you if you haven't played Eclipse, but essentially it'll streamline the game, make it a little easier. And in general, just the artwork, it looks the same, but it's like a little more colorful. Some of the things pop a bit more. So I've seen plenty of people complain that they think it's not doing enough, that they're going to stick with the first version, as well as there's complaints that it goes for $99 as the base, but it's $150 if you want the base and all of the stretch goals. You only get some stretch goals. Plus, there's actually a bunch of other cool stuff that comes in only this deluxe $150 package. So if you really want to go all in, you might want to go all in, but there's a lot to unpack here.
I didn't look at this Kickstarter, so I don't know if they have a level like this, so you'll have to tell me. But I feel when you do a new edition of these games, the problem is you have to understand, especially if it's something like this, Eclipse, anything that probably has made the top 100 of Board Game Geek's list, that a lot of people already have the base or the game. And Fantasy Flight actually did this well with Mansions of Madness. When they released the second edition, in the second edition box, they had a little packet. It was like, here's the upgrade components. So if you already have the base, here's the little things you need to use what brings over. Or if you didn't have one of the expansions, they had the Sunken Dreams or some weird, there's just the miniatures and some of the tiles and stuff, which is really nice. And this is a Kickstarter, so you really could just do, and I've seen a couple other, not really the big companies do something like this, but I already have Eclipse. Well, this will come with the boards, the new rule book, and I feel like you got to do that if you're going to do a second edition for this kind of stuff.
I can tell you they don't have that. They do not have that. It would be really good. I guess either they thought there was just too much new stuff I guess the difference is a lot of the upgrades are cosmetic, aesthetic upgrades, and a lot of people, probably rightfully so, are thinking, why should I spend $100 just for new minis if it doesn't change the game, when I would rather, like you said, just get what are the new versions of the tokens. But then I guess from their perspective, did they have to make 2 sets of these tokens because they changed the look?
I understand it's a money thing, but at the same time,
because it's Kickstarter, they could, if people wanted it, but maybe they need a certain amount. I don't know. I don't know the logistics of it, but I agree that is the best thing when they do that.
Well, I understand there could be some many issues. I'm really on the side of the gamers in this one, just because I'm like, it sort of sucks to buy a whole new version. Speaking of, I think it's 3 times it's happened to me where I bought a game and they announced a new version of it.
At this point, though, it's like, look, it's board games. That's a risk you're taking, I think, a lot of times.
I mean, these are old ones.
Yeah.
And not the stuff. But it's with Kickstarter now where it does that kind of things. Especially let's say the trace, for example. You can go to, I'm sure, Broken Token or any of those other sites to get a token thing. So that's something that people may already have as well. and the inserts are great. But that also, I mean, I think Broken Token did their own thing, and someone else did on the Board Game Geek store for Terraforming Mars, for instance, inserts. So I feel like it's been done where someone's done it separately.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Yeah. Well, the game itself, I think, looks pretty good. And honestly, as someone who really doesn't like Eclipse that much, it sounds like I really would like to try this version. It does sound like maybe I still wouldn't love it, but it definitely sounds like they address some of my biggest complaints, namely how long it takes to play, and the weird bankruptcy mechanic. And there's some other things that make it easier for you to move around the board and just generally let you move faster and upgrade faster, which I think sounds exciting. So take a look at Eclipse, see what you think. If you are someone who has the original or not, I'm sure you will have an opinion. It's up there now.
So after our last picks, your wallet may be hurting a little bit. So luckily, we got one here for you that's just right and very small. Pumpkin Patch Bad Seeds comes from us from Brouhaha Games. What a great name. And it is only $9, really great. Cool idea, 2 to 3 players. The way it works is you're planting these really cool sort of pumpkin, you're planting pumpkin seeds, but there's really cool art of like creepy, horror-esque. And you're trying to collect stacks to collect seeds in this sort of shared community garden. And the game ends when the Cinderella pumpkin is planted. But you're gonna have to you can only create new plots or before you can plant another one to sort of upgrade them up, and you try to line them up correctly because some give you more seeds if you have more oranges touching or more white touching or even numerical line up. And there are also crows which can block pumpkins, which can sort of a way to sort of hurt your opponent from their setup game. For a simple $9 game, it looked really cool, and the art was. I love the art. That spooky pumpkin, sort of like living.
It's a small game. Do you know? Is there a chance they'll have it out for Halloween this year, or are we gonna?
I didn't actually look at that guy. I just looked at the game mechanics. I probably should.
That's would be good.
I mean, it seemed more likely considering it's only printing the small cards. That would seem probably easier than doing all the minis that we mentioned before.
But I wouldn't get your hopes up even if they say October. Probably won't happen.
Yeah, but definitely it looks like a light, fun game. If you're into that more of that I guess Gothic, would you call art style?
Sure.
Stuff. And hopefully maybe it would arrive for Halloween for all your fun Halloween board game parties.
You'll have it for some Halloween. From bad seeds to good seeds, our next game is Tiny Trees, which is a tree building game where players are actually taking cardboard pieces and fitting them into each other, sort of puzzle piece style, but they are 3D trees. So you'll be watching the video right now, but the way that it works is as you play, there are 3 piles of different types of trees with different branches. Some have birds on them or mushrooms or things like that. And you're going to be choosing one on your turn, or you could take a flower and you fit it in somewhere, sort of like when you're building one of those cardboard things that you have to like slot in one side to the other side so it fits. And eventually you end up with this weird 3D diorama of a tree, and you get points based on the types of branches you have, how many different living things you have versus flowers or whatever. And when some of the piles run out, the game's over and you just count up the points. But this is a game that's very, seems like it's competitive, but it's very kind of relaxing. You're not really caring too much. It sort of seems like the antidote to photosynthesis, where you're moving trees and it's incredibly stressful and competitive. This one is just kind of like, this is fun. We're just making cool trees that look cool. And maybe it'll encourage you to plant a real tree in real life.
Yeah, I really do enjoy games. I mean, this is my personal thing, of where you build something, and sure, maybe you buy something that someone else wanted so they can't get it. But in the end, you sort of, even win or lose, you will end up with this cool sort of thing that's sort of nice to see. And this is like taking that to the extreme. You're going to have this amazing 3D thing in front of you, which looks really awesome.
We need a term for that, because we always mention it and we have to explain it every time.
I play my own game, you play yours, and we'll end up with something?
We'll work on that a little more. This one is Tiny Trees. It goes for $33.
Finally, this is one I thought was a little bit different, but sort of cool. This is Teeny Dice Buddies. They're actually little pins that come in a bunch of different colors. You'll get random colors, but you'll get a full set of like a D6, 20, 10, so on and so forth. And I think there's stretch goals for different sets of colors. I thought this might have been a cool one because I've noticed a lot in recently, I don't know who started, maybe it was PAXed, but like just this whole idea of pin collecting.
Yeah, Disney World has.
Yeah, that might have been the first
big
one.
on that, yeah.
So I thought this might be a fun thing if you're into that, to get some cool pins, especially a bunch of different colors and game ones. Apparently they did one before where actually it was like you can get chaotic good, lawful good, all the spectrum of the D&D alignment chart, which I never get.
Which one would you have that you don't get?
No.
Chaotic,
Don't make me choice.
Chaotic neutral.
I guess.
I'm lawful nothing.
Lawful nothing. That's a new one.
It's homebrew.
But yeah, if you're into pins like showing on maybe your bag or shirt or whatever, this may be a cool one. And for going for $20 and depending on what else you get. But check it out.
Those are the picks this week. Definitely Cthulhu and Eclipse are the huge ones to have those both in the same week. And some of those, both of those actually also were kind of limited time things. So from now, I think there's only a week or two left. They didn't do like a full 30 days, both of those campaigns. So something you may want to look at and decide right now if you want to spend $100 or more on a giant game.
And of course, like I said, even for the Cthulhu one, you might want to keep an eye out because it could, in essence, drop in price because if they made a cheaper version of the higher pledge level.
Keep pressuring them on Twitter, but don't tell them I sent you. Hey, let us know in the comments if you backed one of these games or if there's one that you didn't back and you want to tell us about it.
And of course, if you have any more money to spend, you can check rollforcrit.com. We'll be closing our store soon, so everything must go. Everything is half off. It's really a steal. Definitely check it out while it's still there.
Yeah, spend your money on some old games instead of these new games that are untested. You don't know what's going to happen. Until that day comes, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this was Kickstarter Pickstarter.
Hey, if you liked this video, then like this video and subscribe to our channel for more board game content.
Would you kindly do it now?